Billy, how did Patrick come out of the practice days? Did he practice again today? And
yep.
What's going on with the game situation? Is that going to happen? What's the latest?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's progressed well. Practiced yesterday. I got a chance when we get back to watch him tomorrow as well and meet with him. But he's full go, no setbacks. I think the biggest thing is just going to end up being with the amount of time that he's been out. There's nothing to do with the hand. It's just more his body, just the contact and that stuff. But I'm optimistic that pretty soon he can get back to, he's cleared for the contact. He's cleared to play. It's just a matter of kind of giving him some of these practice days where he gets a little bit more comfortable and kind of builds up, I think the contact of playing in a game again, not doing that for 5 months. So, but everything came back really, really well in terms of him physically.
Is he going to play in a game for the Windy City Bulls or no?
That's going to be the discussion tomorrow.
There's one Sunday
yes,
night.
That's right. That's right. So that's going to be the discussion, and it's really he'll certainly play a role in terms of like what does he need, because we have practice on Sunday, so a lot of it's going to be okay. Does he feel like he needs maybe some game time? He plays in a game a little bit,
right.
Or is it he needs to be with us practicing? So I'll go back and meet with him tomorrow and probably have that discussion with him in terms of what he feels like he needs to get himself ready.
And then the last thing about him, is there any chance, I mean, if it sounds like everything checked out, if it continues to check out, could he play Monday against Toronto, even though it is the front end of a back-to-back? I mean, you guys could always sit him the next day.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a possibility of the Toronto-Milwaukee. That's certainly, I think, very real. A lot, I think, will depend on when we get back, having 2 days before we go into that back-to-back, what he likes to do, and then how does he feel, in terms of, making himself and having himself available for either both those games or one of those games. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. But the few days that he's had back in Chicago, I think have been really, really good. His conditioning is fine. I think just in talking to some people back there, as you can expect, the timing is off, a little bit. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to get back, but everything else, what he's been able to do in terms of keeping up his conditioning has been really good.
So, Billy, to be clear, you wouldn't hesitate even playing him in a back-to-back Monday, Tuesday if he keeps kind of moving forward?
Well, I think the hard part's going to end up being, like Joe said, you end up having, Sunday, there's potentially a Windy City game, then you're going into a back-to-back. We probably wouldn't want to potentially have him 3 in a row like that, right? So there's going to be some management there to that part of it, but we just wanted to get him in some contact situations, some practice situations, which he's been able to do, and maybe it's a situation like Joe just mentioned, he goes potentially and plays for Windy City and, sits out the next game and then plays the second night of the back-to-back. I think those are going to be the conversations tomorrow.
You got the chance to talk to him outside of just like staff about how Patrick is feeling, just like, have you gotten any feedback from him specifically about just what he feels like, his optimism?
I mean, he's anxious to get back. I think once a player gets cleared, like Alex was cleared, those guys want to get back on the court, but there's also understanding they need something, before they can actually do that. But I think he, feels like physically he feels good. He knows, I think the timing part of it's going to probably take a little bit of time, but I think just how he feels and where he's at mentally, yeah, I mean, he wants to come back and play.
You've talked about how sometimes it's harder to kind of fold these players back into lineups. With Patrick specifically, how would that maybe change the way that you're going to approach either of those games Monday or Tuesday if you're, bringing a new power forward in like that?
Yeah, I mean, I just think at this point in time in the season, and I said this, a few weeks ago, that this now it becomes really challenging, because you're certainly not going to expect him to be where he's at right when training camp started, but he certainly helps our team. He makes our team better, and there'll probably be some growing pains, so to speak, of him, finding a rhythm. The other part of it, very similar to Alex, with him coming back, they still want to keep him under a restriction just because he's been out for so long. And I think with Patrick, the biggest thing is going to end up being how he fits into rotation. Is what does a realistic number of minutes look like for him to at least build up some tolerance, for this. I don't think bringing him in there and, playing him 30, 35 minutes is going to be, first of all, I don't think he can do that. And second of all, probably wouldn't be the smartest thing. So we'll have to slowly get him involved and try to help him be as productive as he can with the minutes that he gets whenever he gets them.
Billy, what have you thought of the way Cameron Payne has played since Chris Paul has gone down?
Well, I've always been a fan of Cameron. I liked him when he was in Oklahoma City with us. The unfortunate part is he dealt with some foot injuries. that I think probably set him back a little bit. And I do think that, the road he's had to take to kind of establish himself, as a point guard in this league, you can tell he's really grown, from those experiences. And I think for a lot of players, you go through these situations, they can be humbling at times, but, I think if they're taken the right way, you can get better and improve from them. And I think he clearly has taken full advantage of the opportunity, last year and when Chris was there. And I think even this year with Chris there and not there, he's a veteran guy. He's been around, he's seen a lot, been through a lot. And, I've always felt like if he was healthy, he was a very good player.
Coach, one of the things, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
No, I was going to just follow that up. But Cameron was saying that Chris tells him, read the defense. You should know what the offense is doing. So just read the defense. How much did that help a point guard knowing, okay, I trust where everyone else is going to be? Let me just read what's in front of me and maybe.
And that's what every player should be doing. They should be doing that, reading what's, how things are being guarded and what's happening. I think just to run a play for the sake of running the play and, kind of like connecting the dots. A lot of times you got to see, okay, what's available, how they guarding it, what cut do I need to make, how do I need to screen, angles of screen, those kind of things. So I think, for every team, every player, Chris is a master at it, reading those things and figuring ways out to exploit the defense. But, I've always said this about Chris, if you're a young point guard or even a young player in general and you want to learn, he's a great guy because he'll put the time in to try to help you.
Coach, what about the aging and the problems that might create for you in that matchup against the detention? What are some of the things you try to do to take advantage of and come to like switching scenarios where he's put in situations where he's maybe have to switch and decide between picking up somebody on a drive like Zach or DeMar?
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things, for big men in this league is understanding, pick and roll coverage. And I can remember when DeAndre first got in the league, that was really, I think, a real challenge for him, as it is for a lot of big guys when they come in, just because the game is so fast and things are happening so quickly. And then the more and more he's now become, in my opinion, a really elite, defender, where he rim protects. To your point, he has the versatility to make decisions, in screening actions of when to maybe break off the coverage and switch and do some of those things. I don't know if he would have been capable of that, early in his career, but clearly being around and, he's grown, I think quite a bit, as a defender, and certainly with as good as they are defensively, being the center, he certainly anchors it.
Hey, Billy, what's the latest on Lonzo? Is he kind of the same thing? Ramp up, back up, ramp up?
Yeah, I think that, he has not responded. There's no setbacks. Like, it's still the same thing. So I don't want to act like, I know we mentioned the other day, it's like maybe a couple steps forward, he goes back. He has not been able to do anything full speed. And anytime we get him close to that, there's discomfort. So I think they're going to probably have to at least look at, do you back off and let him rest for a little bit, see if that helps. I think they'll get together and deal with that, but he has not, necessarily maybe progressed, where he's been able to get to that place where he's able to really, really fully sprint and cut and move. And I think, with, I don't know how many weeks it's been now, it's maybe on the right.
Week 7 going into.
Yeah. So, I think that, we said 6 to 8 weeks, and I think you want to be able to have a situation where you can really ramp him up, and he still has discomfort there. And I think they're trying to figure out how to ease that to basically take the next step. So if they're trying to take the next step to get him to do more sprinting, is there a situation where you give him some time to kind of calm down? But he hasn't gone backwards. He just has not been able to go forward far enough to do the things that he's going to need to be able to do to play.
Is there a chance that, I was looking at the time frame of his, and obviously it's a different time. He's younger, and when he had the meniscus, the first surgery, and that went longer than they thought. Is there a chance that, is it in play that he just might not be available to you guys this season, rest of the season? Yeah,
I haven't had that where they said that. I think everybody was optimistic that he could get back and play, but there's no question right now with the current situation, with him not being able to do things physically that he's going to need to do on the court. He's not even at that place. I don't know, in talking to our medical people, how long does that take to go from where he is today to there? You know what I mean? So, obviously, if it keeps going on and on and on, that would certainly not be great. But again, like he's made some he's made some strides, but he hasn't made significant enough strides where we can keep pushing him. So I think they're in a process. Okay, like what's the next best thing to do to help him? Is it like, hey, let's pull back? let's let him rest for a while. Hey, let's do more strengthening stuff. I think that's where the doctors will get together on that.
Have you talked to Alonzo? I mean, last time you talked to him?
I talked to him before we left, a little bit.
Is he frustrated? Is he?
No, I don't think, I didn't get that from him. I mean, these guys are all, they're all frustrated when they can't play. I don't think he's necessarily, he understands. I just think that he wants to get to a place where, I think for him, the normal things of walking up and down a flight of stairs, where before the surgery, it was really bothering him. He doesn't have that at all. Like, that's gone. So I just think they're all trying to figure it out. But I don't get the sense that like he's frustrated with anything. And actually, he's done a really good job going in there and working, and they've tried to do a really good job of trying to help him figure it out. So, I know he said 6 to 8 weeks, and maybe you guys mentioned this is right around week 7 now. So I think they'll have to figure out what's going to be the protocols the next 7 days for him.
I had a quick Florida question for you. The Gators announced Todd Golden as the new head coach today. How much do you stay in touch with, the program, with new head coaches as they come through? Just kind of what would be, your message to a new head coach going into a position that you obviously want to be successful in?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to them quite a bit during this process. They had reached out and talked to me, not necessarily about who to hire candidates, but just, the Scott Strickland, who's the athletic director there, who took over for the athletic director who hired me, Jeremy Foley. We've had an unbelievable relationship, and they've kept me very, very much involved, however I can help. But I do think, it's a unique situation there. I think it's a really good situation because of the people that are there. And, one of the guys that was my trainer was on the search committee. So he had talked to me quite a bit. And I think that they were trying to look for a profile. And I've always said the same thing, whether it's, Providence College or whether it's Florida, if they need me to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. But I also understand that everybody's got jobs to do, and I would just want to be to support there. But they've really have been great in terms of keeping me involved in different ways. I think maybe I could be useful to try to help.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Yep.